Welcome to the Todd DeVoe Show, exploring the best ideas and lessons for leaders.
Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are at in this fine world. And this is probably this is maybe a take two for some of you, but so we're having some audio problems. We went back and took a look at it. It seemed like everything was okay. So hopefully those issues were fixed on their end. So going back into the conversation, since we're on a take two here, Explorations. It's a new TV series on Apple TV that really takes a deep dive into what climate change is, and coming from Scott Burns, who is the creator and producer for Contagion movie. He has a history of doing events or doing shows about the climate change, about these issues, so much so that he produced Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth. And as we're looking at this issue here from a unique storytelling perspective. Now, like I've said before, and not just me, others as well, I said that all disasters are political. And climate change obviously is one of those political hot button topics that we have. And is there a way around it? That's a good question. Some people believe that climate change is caused by humans. Others believe that it's cyclical or in between. So this story really gets into what's happening from as the climate has changed. And in this case, their contention obviously is going to be that it's human controlled, human caused at least, and that there's something that we can do to make the change. It starts off in the near future of 2035 with a teenage activist going in front of protests in front of the United Nations, the 46th Climate Change Summit, where they were taking a vote to raise the temperature 2 more degrees. Now, in the case of this show, the climate's changed so much that the people are vacationing up in the Arctic Circle, and this hotel billionaire guy is looking at building some sort of hotel down in that area. And so you have that. Now, the thing I find interesting is that, the good guys are very wholesome. They're very, everybody you have to like them. You find them very attractive as far as personality and who they are. The bad guys, they're bad. The villains are villains. Very Disney-esque, if you will, when it takes a look at who the villains are and what they do. It is kind of a groundbreaking series. It really does some unique things. The visuals are beautiful. If you take a look at the way they shot it, they really capture what the essence of climate is. One of the things I find interesting, and I lived through it myself here in Southern California, when we've had the fires and the smoke is just unbearable, and they show that being worldwide due to fires in the Adirondacks, in Australia, and things like this that are showing that are really making smoke. And in Europe, that's making just life unbearable for most people. There are new diseases that are created due to the change in the climate as well, that we wouldn't think of for a long time. And they were called summer heart, which is a heart disease where kids can't go outside to play because the warmth makes them, it's bad for them. I guess kind of like if you think about asthma here in Southern California, where we have weather days, poor quality, air quality days where we keep kids inside. Now, the weather's changing for sure. We have some issues here in Southern California that you probably haven't seen in a long time. We've had 2 tornadoes in the last 48 hours. And we've also had major rain and major snow, which we really need to combat the drought that we have here. And although experts are saying that it's not enough snow necessarily to have or rain for that matter, to have got us out of drought. And there's conversations about that, and how do we approach that conversation with people when it comes to what we do as emergency management and leadership. I find it interesting too is that we need to really get involved in what public policy is, and how we can make things better for us, as far as when we're looking at combating these disasters that are coming forth. Over the last few days, like I said, we've had some serious rain here. A few weeks, I should say. We've had some serious rain here in California, where we've had flooding and whatnot, and so to prepare for these, are these storms becoming more intense due to the weather? I highly recommend taking a look at Explorations and taking a look at it from our point of view, as far as what we could do as far as policy, or what we can't do as far as policy, right? I think it's a kind of interesting conversation primer, and that we could utilize Hollywood and storytelling to really make things more digestible when it comes to complex conversations such as climate change with people. We've used stories for many years to tell what's happening. The tales of old, if you will, are always cautionary tales. Even Hansel and Gretel and whatnot. Pay attention to your parents, or otherwise bad things can happen to you. How can we embrace the concept of storytelling for what we do? Gabby Allman, who I've had on my show in the past, and who spoke at the IEM Region 9 Symposium, utilizes the idea of stories, and she really introduced us to this concept, to the show at the IEM Region 9 conference, about how we can use stories and embrace stories to be able to, again, like I said, break down complex issues into digestible points where people can get a better understanding of what's going on. Now, like I said, this particular show has some really over-the-top sides, right? Like, the villains are villains. They can't walk into the room and you're not knowing that this is a bad guy. There's a scene where this one scientist is communicating with whales, which I thought was kind of a neat concept. I mean, if we could figure out what the clicks in the whales sound mean, and this is kind of what they did, and she was able to put a voice to it. And the whale is sad, very kind of depressed, looking for a mate. And I guess the bad guy is playing mind games with this particular whale. And the scientist, the good guy, this female scientist, she's mad that they're playing mind games with this whale, and she feels sad for this, and she storms off and quits. So the idea here is, can we use science for good? Can we use these stories for telling good stories that will help people understand? I think we can. Does it have to be over the top? I don't know. I mean, this is his way of telling stories and simplifying some stuff, but the bad guys are definitely bad guys, and the good guys are definitely good guys in this case. And I haven't gotten to the end to see how they're fixing everything, or is there a solution to this? But again, like I said, we can use these stories to really inspire others, to be ready, to be prepared, to do what they can do in their communities to prepare for these incoming weather issues that are around, whether it's the hurricanes or whether it's the snowstorms that are happening on the East Coast, or whether it's the crazy rains and snow that we're having here in California. The Explorations is definitely an interesting way of taking a look at it, and I don't begrudge them for making it the way it is. Like I said, he's not hidden his agenda by any means, nor should he, right? If this is what Scott Burns this is what he wants to do. I think we could again take a look at this. Take a look at it from a neutral perspective, even if you have different ideas of what climate change is about. And I think we could pull stuff out of shows like this and utilize them. You know, in the past, Contagion, for instance, well, it came out before the pandemic, and it's way before the pandemic. And the storytelling tells of what could be if we have a fast moving disease. Um, Now, the other side of it, though, is sometimes we start using these stories to help with disaster response and preparedness. Um, are people expecting the response to be the way it is in the movies? And sometimes they are. You know, you bring in a digital picture and take a look at it, and hoping that people can enhance it like they do in the movies. Obviously, that technology doesn't exist. Well, we have some of the same issues that were the idea of science fiction, that we're allowed to have the fiction portion of it go to be able to fix issues that are having, and people sometimes have the expectations. So we have to really frame the expectations of what we can do compared to what Hollywood can do to fix issues. But we can still, again, use the story to help augment what we're trying to get across to them. We've all seen the other films such as Volcano, which we highlighted at the Region 9 symposium as well, about how emergency management works, where the hero of the story is an emergency manager, and he goes in and starts giving orders and people listen to him. Well, we know that doesn't quite work that well. Right. But the idea here, again, is, are we listening to our scientists that are doing research into, earthquake activities and whatnot? These are fun ways to be able to share what's happening in the field of preparedness and response and recovery, and the politics of disasters as well. And we have to embrace this concept of storytelling, so we can really help perpetuate and help people understand and prepare for disasters. I think we can work with Hollywood, and we can work with storytellers to be able to get the message out in a way, again, like I said, that's digestible. Everybody, it's not this movie might not, this TV show might not be everybody's cup of tea. Like I said, it's a little slow. I'm into the third episode of it, but I am enjoying it. So take a look at it for that, and share it. You could get, if you do not have Apple TV, there are some right now. There's some, you can get some free trials for a few days. So take advantage of the free trial. Take a look at the Apple TV show Exploration, and let me know what you think of it. I want to make an announcement of a couple of things that are happening. So the Emergency Management Network over at emnmedia.com, you can go over there, take a look at the newsletter that we have going on. We have some really interesting things that are happening over there. We have the Leaders Cafe, which is you can only find that on the Emergency Management Network. And we have some really great guests coming on to the Leaders Cafe. We also have some future events that are going to be live as well. We hope that you can go over there and join that at the Emergency Management Network. Also, this year, we're going to have the IAEM, the International Association of Emergency Managers conference and expo will be in Long Beach. This is my backyard. I will be there, obviously, as well, as Emergency Management Network is a media partner with IAEM. And come on over to that event. It's going to be awesome. And we're going to be having some special events that are sponsored by the Emergency Management Network. We'd love to have you there. Love to talk with you and meet everybody else who is part of the Emergency Management Network as well, including our great Mark Baker from the Baker's Dozen, Isamar Garcia, who is helping create some awesome content with calendars. We have Mike, who is doing a lot of writing as well for us. Kelly McKinney, all will be part of the EMN Media's group. So until next week, everybody, please stay safe, stay hydrated.